Here we are at the next step, as you can see, which is going to be veining. Now you can see what all three layers of the mottling looks like together. And that's all that we've done so far, is 3 layers of the mottling all over the head, limbs, and tummy plate. Next we will be doing veining, and we will be using the Bountiful Babies Vein Blue. And this color here, I don't even know if I wrote it down right. This green color. And we will be filling our little dish here with our thinner. And we're not going to be needing too much for the veins. Then I'm going to be taking some of the linseed oil, just about 3 drops. And this will help with the transparency of the color. What I find is using just the vein blue from the Bountiful Baby Premix colors, it's just too dark. So we're going to get our brush a little bit wet, and I'm using this number 2 or number 1 Artist Loft brush for the veins. As you can see, this is a really dark color on its own. And again, once you get familiar with your steps and you do them over and over again, you'll know your perfect consistency of your colors once you mix them. Still a little dark. Let's do a, you can see. I don't know if you can see a real difference in the color. It's kind of a mix in between the two. And I always start on one side of the head, turn it upside down because the main artery or vein comes up through the neck. Comes up, and I just think of a tree. Branches go out this way, branches go out that way, and then they branch off this way and down this way, and they split some more, they split. This can go across here, this can go across here, This one splits. So you can just keep going and going. Throw in right here. And whatever you do on that side, you just continue to split off this way. Go this way. I mean, it's not going to really matter too much what you do back here unless you're not going to have any hair. And then to make them here faded away, I just take my sponge and I brush the edges and then kind of pat on any joining areas that might have any like puddles where they split. Just dab, and it will look like the veins are just fading into the skin. Just lighten them up. As you can see. So this combination of color makes it really look like it's underneath the skin. Let's see if my camera's being funky right now. Right there. So you got your main vein going up, and then it's splitting all over. And then some like to do this greenish color and where the eyes are, across in here. You can do it where the mouth is on here, and I just let it set for a little bit, and I take just one of these dry mixing brushes and I just pounce it a little bit so it's not as harsh and it looks like it's coming through the skin a little bit. You don't want it too dark. And fade it out. Add more if you need to. And if you want it darker, you use less thinner in your paint, or you can paint it on here and let it flash a little bit. Get in these creases. I don't want it too much in the area, so you just go in and pounce that out. Well, it's just enough to not make it look so apparent. You want it to be translucent, like it's coming through the skin. Then I'll go over and do this other side. Main vein coming up, and then you come up here and you start branching out. Here, across here. Some more. Can even do some through here. I want to, before it dries too much, go in with my sponge and fade out the edge. Other side, branch out, back this way, that way, this way, branch out, branch out. Sponge, fade out the edges so they look like, this is a little dark right here, so I can lighten that up a bit. Fade out our edges. Any spots where it looks like the color has pulled a little bit. And then we got our veining. I just think of it as two trees on the side of the head. Now we can do, I know a lot of people like to do like veins coming down through the forehead right here. You can branch them out. See those? We don't want them to be too prominent and take over the entire face. So we'll pounce them out until they look like they're right underneath the skin. See those? To where all we have done so far is the 3 mottling layers and the veining. And you can see with this mixture of veining, it already looks like it's underneath the skin, and we have not done any washes or any skin colored layers, flesh layers, or anything. So as you can see, we got the main veining done with some slight coloring on the bridge of the nose and around the mouth. You just want slight color. I usually don't do any of the green around the mouth, unless like these deep dimples, you know, you can do that, or the deep bridge. Other than that, I usually don't do that. So that would be the veining on the head. So you can see that from there. Now for the belly plate, it's kind of hard for me to see with this thing on. I always come down and again branching out. And fade your edges First thing you do, fade your edges, and then you go back in and you dab your veins so that they look like, and I mean, you can, like, the sides of the head reminds me of a tree. This stuff kind of looks like lightning, how it branches out. Some people are really good. The tummy, I don't have my set thing that I do for the belly plates yet. The one things I do make sure that I do are along the side of the belly. Kind of like, you know, this one I'm going backwards. And making sure you're coming across the belly here. I usually don't do this much veining on bellies, but I do like it when they do have lots of veining on the bellies. Again, your edges first, to fade them. Fade your veins in, like they're disappearing into the body. And see, right here is what I'm talking about. You can see there's a puddle there, and a puddle there. Just want to dab it out. Fade your edge. And you can see the nice veining across the tummy. I usually do that on both sides. Flip it onto the other side. This way. This way. Just down that way. This one. Just pounce over them. So they look like they're underneath the skin and fading. So we have veining across the belly, on the chest. You can't really, you can see this side. I will add a little bit more over here. I know I usually like to do like a nice big vein across the belly. Pounce it out. Let it flash a little bit. because you want it to appear underneath the skin. You want to see it, but not a drastic line. You want them to appear underneath the skin. Okay. Now for the arms and the legs, I usually have a set pattern I use. I usually make sure, well, on the inside, start on the inside of the leg and start doing my more of a lightning, longer into the inside of the leg there. Let me pounce out. This is a little light, so you can just leave that so it shows. Just want to fade out your edges. Now usually on the inside of the leg, I will do a correct facing Y. I will go down and then I will cross and then go down the leg like a Y. On the opposite side, I will do an upside down Y. I'll go long and then fork out to go down to the ankle. So I usually alternate that on the sides of my legs, and then on this outside of the leg I will do the longer looking lightning. You can do that out as far as you want. So on the sides of my head, I think of them as trees. Big oak trees. And then on the belly plate and the limbs, I think of them more as long strands of lightning. This one I will dab a little because it's a little dark. And I am using a sponge that has pink on it, or the lip and nail. As long as it doesn't transfer color, you're fine. I use all the corners of my sponges. Now for the feet, I usually go from the area, the ankle, down and around. It's okay if it gets in these lines, you can clean it up. You go across the foot. Sometimes I just branch it out to the foot, the toes. And then this side, you can go across the base. And you go to the upper part of the foot and branch it out. And sometimes I will do a big Y across the front of the leg. Some people like to see the veining in the front. So just fade out, down. On the feet, I just stick the corner of my sponge in the crease. Suck up all that extra green paint. Just refine your lines with the corner of your sponge. Wipe off any excess. Fade the ends of your lines. Any areas that I don't need it, like on this toe, I'll just get this brush in and wisp it away. And that is the veining for the legs that I pretty much do on every baby. Every leg is pretty much the pattern that I use on my legs. Now for the hands, I usually think of there's a main vein that goes towards the thumb, then again branching out like a tree to the fingers, and then they all come down to around the wrist and down. And then I just fade my edge, get any extra out of the crease. There's a piece of fuzz in there. Fade it out. Get your blobs out of there. And then you got your veining on your hand going down to your arm. Then I'll usually do one of the Y's towards that vein, but I don't connect them, and I fade out. So you can see they look like they're going to each other, but they're not connecting. Usually I don't put any veining on the shoulder area because that's more of a fatty area that you usually don't see veining on. But I'll do veining on the inner part of the arm, just a little bit. Because that skin is thinner. And then I'll do the leading away Y. Towards the inner part of the wrist. Fade my edge. And then on the inner part, I usually just do a Y leading away. And I know some people, I really don't do it much, but they will add some of the green, just like around the eyes, on the inner part of the hand. So you can add some, and then I would just take your little brush, flat brush, and kind of pounce it until it's light. You don't want you don't want it obvious that the inside of the palms are green. You just want enough of the translucent color to show. And that is pretty much the pattern that I use on all the arms that I do. This looks a little dark, so I'll just go back and pounce it a little bit. And that one's done. So I only have one hand, one arm, and one leg left to do. And that's pretty much how easy veining can be.